Well, now let's imagine that the first force is great for our company. I mean, there's not a huge number of competitors, okay, and so the competition is not fierce, and we can make profit. So the thing is that normally, well, our industry seems attractive. So what will happen? Well, probably many other companies will try to enter this attractive industry. So now we must get to the second force, which is the menace of new entrants. Because if any company can enter an attractive industry, the attractiveness of the industry will be eliminated in a really short time. Okay, that's it. So, the menace of new entrants, what does it depend on? Well, there are two things we must consider. First of all, the entry barriers, which are mechanisms that make it difficult or even impossible to enter an industry. And on the other hand, the defense of incumbents, of the companies which are inside the industry. Okay? Well, first of all, the entry barriers. The entry barriers are, as I told you, any mechanism which prevents or makes it really difficult for a company to enter an industry. Which kind of entry barriers can we have? Well, first of all, cost advantages, economies of scale. Economies of scale means cost reductions depending on the size. Big companies have got lower unitary costs. Okay, the thing is that normally the bigger companies are the companies which are currently inside an industry. So when a new company wants to enter, normally it's not big enough. Okay, then we have got economies of scope. Economies of scope, remember, these are related with synergies, are also cost reductions based on sharing resources with other businesses. So normally this also happens to the companies currently established. And finally, we have got experience effect. The experience effect is a cost reduction based on, well, we are going to explain it deeply in lesson 7, okay, but it's a cost reduction based on having been part of the industry, having been producing for years, okay. So in fact, these three cost reductions are more typical of companies which are currently established. A new one hasn't got experience effect. A new one is normally not big, so it hasn't got economies of scale. It can have economies of scope, sharing resources with some other business. It could have, okay. Then we have got the network effect of incumbents. The companies which are established normally have got a network of customers. So for newcomers, it's really difficult to create this network. Imagine, okay, I want to create an alternative game in order to compete against Fortnite. Well, good luck. I wish you good luck because okay, Fortnite has got a lot of current players. It has got an entire community of players. If you want to create something new, you have to build this community, and it's not easy. Well, then we have got capital requirements. Sometimes entering some industries can be really expensive and requires a high volume of capital. So it's not easy. For instance, I want to create a bank. Good luck. Good luck. Okay. Then product differentiation. If the current products are perceived to be different, if you want to enter the industry, your product is new. You need to create that differentiation. So imagine that currently in an industry, beer. Okay, I want to create a new beer. Well, if there are beers which are recognized and tasty and so on, in order to introduce your beer into the market, it's going to be very difficult. Switching costs. Do you remember what I told you about switching costs? When there's a switching cost, it's really difficult to take a customer from a competitor. Well, if there are switching costs, it's very difficult to take customers from current competitors. If you're entering an industry, building your own customer portfolio is going to be really hard. Access to the distribution channels. Well, let me remind you one story. Schweppes, Schweppes, they tried to create a cola soda called Schweppes Black, okay? And Schweppes Black, let me tell you that I tried it and I liked it more than Coca-Cola, even more than Coca-Cola. But what's the problem? Okay, Coca-Cola has got exclusive distribution agreements with many bars, restaurants, and cafeterias. I don't know if when you go to a bar, restaurant, and so on, you tell, okay, I want a Coke, and sometimes they tell you Pepsi, okay, because they are working with Pepsi. So Coca-Cola and Pepsi, they have got these exclusive distribution agreements. So it's really difficult, or impossible to find these new brands of Coca-Cola. In the end, distribution channels are closed to them. Also, it can happen the same in the access to raw materials. Okay, I want to enter this in the, okay, I want to produce solar panels. Okay, you need to have a supply of silicon. If you cannot grant a supply of silicon, a permanent supply of silicon, then you will not produce solar panels. Okay, and then finally, sometimes, and these are normally the absolute entry barriers, there are public regulations. I mean, for instance, here in Spain, in Madrid, you cannot have a taxi if you don't have a license. Okay, and these licenses are limited, and there's no new licenses since a long time ago. Okay, so that's it. It's regulated. Then we have got, on the other hand, the defense of incumbents. I mean, the companies which are currently established sometimes defend themselves from these newcomers. Okay, and this depends on three things: if they need to defend themselves, if they can do it, and if they want to do it. First of all, if they need, well, whenever the competition is strong enough, you don't need any newcomers. For instance, if you have got high fixed costs, you cannot assume new companies entering the market. If the industry is not growing, you cannot assume new companies entering the market. If that, okay, under difficult conditions, you don't need more menaces in the market. Okay, imagine that you need to defend yourselves. Okay, the second step is if you have got the resources to protect yourself. If you don't have the resources, that's a problem. But if you have got the resources, imagine you have got some other businesses so that you can reduce the margins and so the profits, okay, but you can reduce temporarily the margins and the profits of this product in order to protect it, in order to have a commercial war against the newcomers. Okay, and finally, it depends on if they want to. In some industries, there's a tradition of revenge and a tradition of defense against newcomers. So whenever there's a newcomer, the current companies defend their ground. In some other industries, there's no such a tradition. Okay, they don't do anything special. So this is the second force, the menace of new entrants. Imagine that it's not a competitor. Imagine that it's a substitutive product. A substitutive product is any product which covers the same needs. Could be coming from the same industry or from another. Normally, it comes from another. I mean, normally, the substitutive product uses a different technology. Sometimes it can use the same technology. For instance, think about cars, okay? Imagine these small urban cars. Are they a substitutive product of these SUV vehicles? They are a substitutive product. They can sometimes cover the same needs for the same customers. So they are a substitutive product. They are not the same product, but they are a substitutive one. And they come from the same industry. Is a jean a substitutive product of a skirt? It is. Is it a competitor? Is it the same product? Not the same, but it can be a substitutive product. Okay? They can cover the same functions for some people. So that's it. But it's more frequent that your substitutive product comes from another industry. So as I told you, buses can be a substitutive product of trains, or planes can be a substitutive product. Okay, the thing about substitutive product is that they are especially dangerous for an industry when they can be called to be perfect. And what's a perfect substitutive? When it covers the same or even more functions, when it has got a lower cost or price for the customer, when they come from attractive industries or technology-based industries, and finally, when there are no switching costs. When a substitutive product joins all these features together, okay, your industry is damned. You nearly can do nothing. This is the case of Spotify. Spotify is a substitutive product of these for instance, of these download music services such as iTunes. Okay, look, does Spotify cover the same functions as iTunes and these other services, similar ones? Well, it covers the same or even more functions, yes. Does it do it at a lower cost or even price? Yes. Does it come from a technology-based industry? Yes. Are there switching costs? No. So this is the end of this iTunes and so. So I don't know if you have seen it, but you can easily check it that the sales of music through the internet is reducing and reducing and so on, and people are moving to this Spotify and so on. Maybe they can tell you, no, the problem has been piracy. No, the problem hasn't been piracy. Piracy obviously is a problem. It's a substitutive product. It covers the same functions and but the thing is that piracy is not as attractive because it's not so perfect. Okay, it doesn't cover the same function, and overall, piracy is illegal. Spotify is legal, and it covers the same functions at a lower cost. Look, it's a perfect substitutive. So whenever we are blaming on the rain or blaming on anything else, no, maybe we should make a deeper analysis of the thing. Okay, so that's it. Second and third forces.